Mr. President, Chairman of the Community of Sant'Egidio, Ministers of Justice, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be able to bring my greetings to the meeting of participants at the 9th International Symposium of the Ministers of Justice in the host country. Indeed, this is almost a tradition whereby I can provide my own contribution and witness to an issue, i.e. the death penalty, that continues to be an unresolved challenge for the international community, especially in this climate of terrible insecurity and threats to fundamental human rights. In the context of the protection, giving up the death penalty is possible, it is necessary, and it is a duty for the future of human coexistence. Thank you. I'd like to very warmly and cordially extend to you, Ministers of Justice. I'd like to welcome you to the Palazzo del Quirinale, not just the ministers, but also the other authorities in attendance, and all those who are attending this important symposium. I'm truly happy about this meeting. On the occasion of this 9th International Symposium that was promoted by the community of Sant'Egidio, the title of which is There Can Be No Justice Without Life. This is a symposium which, as we heard from the words of the president of the community, intends to bring back to the fore at the global level the whole issue of the abolition of the death penalty. With great determination, I adhere to the request extended by the community of Sant'Egidio to participate, to be part of your reflection with these opening or with these remarks. And that's because I believe that it is a task on the part of institutions to contribute to this commitment. Italy and Europe have for a long time been on the front line in this fight of a historical scope. We, of course, share the fundamental principles of our respective legal systems, and what we strive to do is to assert the respect of life, of the life of every human being, and therefore the dignity of the human person and its primacy, even within the very individual legal systems. Hence the reason underpinning this main commitment on the part of Italy. The Italian criminal law discipline has traditionally been related and strictly related to the figure of Cesare Beccaria, who was mentioned earlier. His treaty, going back to 1764, defines the death penalty as something that is neither useful nor necessary, and I quote, "After a bit over 20 years, in 1786, in one of the states that existed in Italy prior to its unity, in other words, Tuscany, we witnessed the first example of the abolition of torture and the death penalty. Again, in our country, numerous initiatives on the part of policymakers and enlightened legal experts. In 1861, at the beginning of Italy's unity, led to the foundation of the special paper for the abolition of the death penalty by Carlo Cattaneo. And that was followed by the abolition of the death penalty under the Zanardelli Code back in 1889. Then it was restored by the fascist regime, but it was our Republican Constitution back in 1948 that once and for all eliminated and did away with the capital punishment because of the value of the human person that characterizes our legal system. Subsequently, this was also extended to war military laws. Now, within the European context, the European Convention of Human Rights, with the added protocols in 1983 and 2002 and the Charter of Nice of the year 2000, complete the right to human dignity and also provide for the abrogation or repeal of the death penalty, which is now part and parcel of the basic values for civil coexistence, and it is a part of the very identity of our continent. Anyone wishing to enter the European Union know that they will have to do away with the death penalty if it still exists in their rules. One cannot be European if one challenges this important principle. There can be no Europe without the respect for life. Now, Italy didn't confine itself to banning capital punishment from its territory and its legal system. It went beyond that. At a political, diplomatic, and judicial level, it went beyond by seeing to it that the abolition of the death penalty could become a legacy for all of humankind. Significant is the case law of our constitutional court here in Italy, which denied the extradition of the condemned, where the demanding state provided for the death penalty to punish that specific crime. And it is in this context that we must view the initiative taken by Italy within the UN to assert this principle and to forge a broader consensus among states. Now, in 2007, a resolution was adopted, and we know that it was approved by the General Assembly of the UN for the moratorium of the death penalty throughout the world. My hope is that we may continue to travel down this path by consolidating anyone against the death penalty and any approach against it, and to the extent possible by fighting against execution and the implementation of capital punishment. It would be important to reinforce the awareness not just of leaders, but also of the public opinion, young people and all citizens towards vis-a-vis these issues. For Italy, this is quite a duty and a cultural commitment that cannot be given up. That is why it's so crucial that social contexts and movements like the Community of Saint Egidio and Amnesty International and Nessuno Tocchi Caino continue their work of information and formation of the hearts and the minds. We feel it necessary to continue to assert these principles because they are so important and foundational, and they can only underpin lasting progress for all of humankind. Unfortunately, however, capital punishment has still an excessively high price in terms of human life, and it would be unacceptable even if only one person were executed. You see, we have to build a world that is completely free of the death penalty. After all, the history and analysis of concrete findings and information show that the death penalty is not at all a deterrent against crimes. The idea of greater internal security is absolutely ungrounded. The deterrent effect of legal punishment depends to a much greater extent upon the certainty and the readiness with which a sanction, though it might be grave, is implemented, rather than its extreme and irremediable nature. In any event, we just cannot understand or see how the destruction of human life on the part of a state can induce in the population a greater respect for human life itself. The death penalty ends up by devaluing the value of life, taking away its dignity, which instead is the foundation, is a fundamental value underpinning security and social relations, as well as relationships between states. The rehabilitation and re-education of those condemned, on the contrary, is not only a constitutional principle which expresses a legal civilization, but it's a far-reaching objective which, if pursued with constant determination, may bring about the necessary conditions for the rehabilitation of inmates and a greater security for all of society. Without the prospect of reintegration into society, we can only fuel illegality or legal action and delinquency. Now, I hear by bring you my greetings. I wish you the best of luck on your work, and I wish to bring my contribution to what you're doing. I don't think that there can be full justice in the world as long as the killing of human beings is not banned. I think that all leaders must reflect on this commitment. Also, Italy and other countries of the European Union must do better at home in order to adjust the criminal and prison system to the principles of humane treatment, allowing inmates to enjoy a life of dignity during the punishment and during the time they're serving in prison, and giving them the opportunity to plan for a future after they pay for their mistakes. Nevertheless, the international community on its whole cannot but reflect on the link between peace, global imbalances, and the guarantee of human rights in each country. The dignity of each human person is not an independent variable, but the very foundation of civilization. No one can truly defend the achievements of their fathers by violating integrity and the right to life of human beings. Once again, I wish to welcome you to the Quirinale, and I wish you all the best on your deliberations and on the commitment that you will carry out to assert justice in your respective countries. Welcome and thank you.